Rubik's Cubes have always been the bane of my existence. One of the earliest memories that I have is my cousin bringing one of these things home and showing me the horrors that mankind is capable of. I have no reason to hate these things. I'm actually against segregation in any way, shape, or form. But sometimes I imagine that the red squares are trying to push the blue squares out of their home and are using my tax dollars to do it. In all fairness, this is probably just the autism talking, but I pretty much use my hatred as a fuel to learn to solve these things, and I've been on a quest to solve them all ever since. But I only have one set of hands, so I have decided to make this video in order to teach you guys how to help me on my quest. And if you pay attention, you can actually use this information to make cube art, because I really don't see any other reason.
My child will make a short and simple video about solving a gay cube.
Alright, let me give you a second lore drop real quick. When I was a kid, my parents tried everything they could to get me into sports. However, all of their attempts eventually ended in failure. It's not that I didn't like sports, it's just that the sports didn't like me. Since I was the smallest kid in the class, I was always the last one picked. Not that it mattered anyways, because no one ever passed me the ball no matter how open I was. So eventually, I just decided that maybe sports weren't for me. Until I saw this. I have no idea why CTE checkers make the happy chemicals flow. All I knew was that I wanted to feel the raging hard-on that you get from slipping a punch at least once in my life. And I did. One of the good things about having Latino parents is that stepping into a boxing ring is one of the highest honors that you can give them.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
I fell in love with boxing and MMA, but eventually it all had to come to an end whenever I graduated. I started working in construction to pay my way through college, and contrary to popular belief, this did not make me the best in my weight class, it just made me fat. And then the final nail in the coffin came when my gym shut down during COVID. But it has been 6 years since then, and I'm finally back on track to getting into the ring again. But before I fully devote myself to that lifestyle, I figure I may as well fuck over my health one last time to try this challenge. Okay, you're all caught up now. It ain't alcoholism if you time it. It is in my case because I forgot to set the timer, but you get my point. Now I know what you're thinking. Philbin, you don't really sound drunk in that clip, and that's because I'm not. See, I couldn't really find a set of official rules for this challenge, so I had to go with these that I found for the 4 beers 2 cigarettes challenge. And as you can see, they ask for 5.5% beers, and here in America we have not fucking that. So I went out to a liquor store, completely against my own will, and came across this case of German beer. This is where I made the same mistake that many great men before me had made. I trusted the Germans to play by the rules. These things hit me like a sexually frustrated nun. I completely forgot about the challenge and booted up Counter-Strike to talk shit for the rest of the night. And it didn't get any easier with the cigarettes. As a casual smoker, speedrunning a cigarette is like trying to run Cyberpunk at launch on a PS3. It's possible, but you're gonna want to kill yourself every step of the way. The only way to get better at this was to destroy my lungs day after day, so I guess I'll just do that in the background. As for the cubes, they were actually the only part of this challenge that I had a clear path of progression for. Now, if you have never solved the Rubik's Cube before, let me let you in on a little industry secret. It's actually not that hard. You basically just have to learn a set of algorithms and then build the cube layer by layer. And an algorithm is just a set of moves that you use to put a certain piece in a certain place without messing up any of the other pieces. You only need like 3 of these to get started too. If you're above the age of 20 and have basic spatial reasoning, you could probably look up a YouTube video and learn how to solve one by the end of the day. Now, I haven't learned any advanced techniques yet, but I was fast enough that I was confident that I could get a good time on my first run. My goal was to get a time under the world record multiplied by 2, which at the time was 1 minute and 19 seconds, so the goal is 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Fuck. This was an alright time in my opinion, but nowhere near the goal. I had to find a way to cut time, and one of the best ways to do this was to just solve the cube faster. Up until now, I had been using the most basic algorithms, which would consistently get me below 50 seconds. However, it was time for an upgrade, and the obvious next step was learning F2L, which is a method used to solve the first 2 layers simultaneously rather than one by one. I wasn't expecting to cut too much time with this method. I'll be fine if I hit a 30-second solve. As you can see, none of these are sub 30 seconds. So what went wrong? Was it my big fat fingers causing misalignments? Or was it the fact that this is an art that people dedicate years of their lives to and I was expecting too much from 1 hour of practice? No, I can tell you right now that it was entirely the cube's fault. I had been using this cube, the Rubik Speedcube, which is pretty alright in my opinion, but in order to hit that sub 2 second run, I was going to need a real Speedcube. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is way too high of a price to pay for a joke. on a video on a channel with less than 10 subscribers. But hear me out. It does come with a storage bag. Okay, I'm out of excuses. I can't even blame the shitty setup that I'm using to record this footage. Look at this thing. Got the OnlyFans ring light camera set up. Looks like I'm actually gonna have to practice, so while I do that, let's take an intermission and see how we're doing on the other aspects of this speedrun. The drinking was going really good in my opinion, but the smoking not so much. One of the genius ideas that I had at some point was to smoke a cigar instead of a cigarette. Why did I do this? Well, I figured since I would struggle a lot more with the cigars, whenever I switched back to the cigarettes, it wouldn't feel as bad. Kinda like Rock Lee with the weights. I would show you how that went, but I got so drunk that I forgot to hit record on my phone. But it pretty much went down just like this beam right here. Looks like I'm just gonna have to smoke a pack a day until I get it right. Now back to the cube. I was actually progressing pretty nicely. Most of my solves now were under 40 seconds. I even hit a sub 30-second run at some point with a lucky scramble. With a bit more practice, I could probably start hitting sub 30 seconds consistently, but it was time to upgrade again. There was only 2 sets of algorithms left for the top layer, so it was probably best to practice these alongside F2L. This turned out to be a good decision because despite my slow start, eventually within one day I was hitting sub 40 seconds consistently again. Things were finally looking up. Let's see how the smoking was going. Not good. In fact, it was going so bad that it was more accurate to say that the pack was smoking me. I also found out that you're not supposed to inhale cigar smoke. Good to know. Around this time, one of my friends took a trip to Japan and came back with a pack of menthols as a gift. So I did the opposite of my plan with the cigar and started practicing with these easier cigarettes instead. This helped. Not much, but it was progress. The problem wasn't even the smoke itself anymore. It was just the sheer heat of the cigarette burning my mouth. I also realized that the cigarettes were going to be my main problem because at this point I was solving both cubes within a minute and 30 seconds, which means that I have at least a minute of free time for everything else. And I feel like if I could smoke a cigarette under 45 seconds, I pretty much got this in the bag. You know, I'm starting to think that I may have bit off more than I can chew. I did learn a pretty useful technique though. If you roll the filter between your fingers, you can actually avoid getting third-degree burns in your mouth. I'm being a real negative Nancy right now. The times were going down, but holy shit, not by much. I have gained so much respect for these speedrunners that I am confident that an overweight person could go to a fight gym, get in shape, get a fight, and win before most people could even think about hitting sub 3 minutes on this challenge. But I am not most people, okay? I am 5'6". I am a Game of Thrones fan. I'm a Berserk fan. I'm an Oscar Piastri fan. I'm a goddamn Dustin Poirier Glazer. This stroke is something new to me. I will bring this time down to my size.
Man, fuck this shit, I'm jerking off!
Okay, I would like to take a moment to explain why I have no footage of me practicing the full challenge. Simply put, this thing was just wildly uncomfortable. I just did not want to go through the added effort of setting up a camera, and the one time I did, I lost all the footage. See, anytime I make an attempt at this, I have to sit and recover for like 30 minutes just to make another proper attempt. After my second attempt, I completely forgot that I was recording and my phone's battery died, taking all the footage with it. In order to grind through the progress more efficiently, I decided to just not record until I was confident that I could hit the goal time. And what a grind that was. To put things into perspective, between my first attempt and the footage you're about to see, I read Blood Meridian, Frankenstein in German. I learned a whole nother language, and Rise of the Dragon.
Alright, no one fucking make me laugh. No one fucking make me laugh. Apparently y'all get jokes whenever the camera turns on.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna finish it. I'm just gonna keep
Imagine
going.
being mid-round at the fucking talking.
I would kill you. Fuck!
2:37, 1 second below the goal time. But as you can see, the cube is not solved. Legally speaking, by Texas law, this adds on 2 seconds to my time. And I know what you're thinking. Why don't you just try again? And well, I did. Multiple times. This was the best time that I got that night. And I can only try this a few times before I'm just killing myself in a roundabout way. This one stupid move cost me my best run of the night. So, what now? Well, do you remember that lore dump I gave at the beginning of the video that seemed really irrelevant at the time? That's actually my version of Chekhov's gun. And it's about to become very important to this plot twist. You see, I didn't really fully commit to this as much as I could have. Aside from the drinking and smoking, I've actually been taking care of myself. I cut out sugary drinks, I've been going to the gym, I've been eating as healthy as a blue-collar worker can eat. I even lost 30 pounds during this whole ordeal. And maybe that was a problem. The simple fact that my liver still worked and my lungs still breathed is a complete disrespect to the sport. I was too scared to lose all the progress that I had made, but I had to commit. So for 2 weeks, I did. You can't be afraid of losing progress if no progress is being made. I ate whatever I wanted. I chugged beers daily. And let me tell you something. If you're a chubby guy in the middle of losing weight, like you're at the point where it's not noticeable yet, trust me, the difference is already there. If nothing else, this challenge has reminded me how much better life is by simply making an attempt. Okay, let's move on. Halfway through the second week, my friends asked me, hey, want to go to the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid? So I decided that I would do my last run there. And if it doesn't work out, that's it. The truth is, I don't want to keep messing up my health for a lost cause. And you can see this in the video, but it felt like every little thing was against me that day. For starters, that Friday was the hardest work day of the year so far. Got absolutely no sleep because it's the weekend and I live next to Mexicans. Then it was a 10-hour overnight drive from Houston to Tennessee, where I got 2 hours of sleep in the back of an uncomfortable ass Corolla. So I decided to drink my first coffee in over a year in order to stay awake. And you can see how bad this hit me. My hands were shaking for like half the day. It got so bad that I struggled to open the tumbler that I had poured the beer into in order to hide it and not spill any in my friend's car. Oh yeah, I also had to keep everything inside the car. There was a security truck that kept going back and forth every now and then. And the type of people that shop at Bass Pro Shop are the people that claim they want the government out of their lives but refuse to mind their own business. Needless to say, I was fucked up, and not in a good way. I was starting to have heavy doubts about this run. But before I show that, I just want to say, the pyramid was really cool. I highly recommend chugging a couple beers before going up to the top.
Alright. Here at the pyramid. No fucking clue why we drove out here for 10 hours, but we're here now, so fuck it.